Now that we've managed all your kids' stuff, it's time to look at the rest of your home. This is where we begin to really change your life. Starting today, your home will be so much easier to clean and so much more enjoyable to be in. You may even begin to see an increase in the things you desire. Things like peace, patience, success, or even material things as you begin to relinquish the hold on the things you've been hoarding. Material things are often just symbols for the emotional things that we're holding on to. Releasing them opens us up to new emotions and new experiences. I am so passionate about helping you figure out what's essential and what's not in your home, in your business, in your family, so that you can do less and achieve more. This decluttering process is just the first step toward an increase in clarity and momentum toward your goals. Be sure and stick around to the end of the video for the one phrase you need to know to help you keep your home tidy forever and the awesome rule that helps you along this decluttering process no matter where you are. My goal is to help you figure out what makes you happy and how much stuff you want to manage. No matter how many things you own, you have to manage them. You have to clean them and clean around them and organize them and store them properly. If you live in Texas, you can't keep a unity candle in the attic where it gets to be 4,000 degrees. I'm melting! One of my central beliefs in home management is that things should be easy to put away. You might take a little extra effort to find something to get it out when you need it. But if there's extra effort required for putting it away, you're just going to leave it out. That's when we end up with clutter to begin with. Decisions delayed, or sometimes actions of putting things away delayed. Basically, I'm too lazy to not have an organized house. I don't do things that require a lot of extra effort, so keeping the house tidy needs to be one of the easiest things to do. If you really go all out on this decluttering process, you're going to end up with a lot of empty drawers and open shelves, which is awesome because then you can spread your stuff out and it actually makes it easy to get things out and put them away. The best way to do the rest of the house is to follow the same principles and formula that we've done so far on your clothes and your kids' items. Pull it all out and then only put back in what makes you happy. It bears repeating that by doing it this way, you're building a collection of things you love. You're gathering the things that bring you joy instead of subtracting things and feeling like you're getting rid of part of yourself. Let's discuss a few specific categories that you might go through in your house. Books are probably one of the hardest things to get rid of. A large collection of books is like a status symbol in and of itself. In our old home, before we went through this last decluttering process, we had an entire wall of 3 large IKEA bookshelves, floor to ceiling, completely filled with books and a few decorative items mixed in. When our realtor came to take pictures of the house, she marveled at all the books. Oh, wow, I love books. This is so awesome. And I felt this kind of pride, about my book collection. When we did the whole decluttering process about 1.5 years ago, we went through and we pulled out all the books and actually thought about each one of them. And we now have one single bookshelf. It doesn't have any decorative items on it. There's no room for that. And it's kind of spilling over, so I got to go get on decluttering that anyway. But we're down to one shelf for now that has all the books that my family uses. And guess what? We read more than ever before. We're still buying new books, but we're releasing the ones that we're done with, or we will be. So how do you know which books to get rid of? Keep the ones that bring you joy, the ones that you just love to open up and read again and again and again, or the ones that you'll use for reference that you need to pull out and look at things over and over that you might need to check out again. Send the others on their way to share with somebody else who can glean joy or information from them. What if you never finished the book? One of the biggest mind shift changes I had was when I read Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And she says that when you have a book that you've only read partway through, that's okay. It's okay to release that, because that book has already given you all that you needed from it. It's taught you what you needed to learn, and you're no longer interested in it because you don't need to learn anything else from that book. Chances are the reason you bought that book and started it to begin with was because the title or the subject sparked some bit of curiosity in you. Well, now that your curiosity is satisfied, if you're not interested in the rest of the book, then you're not as interested in that subject anymore, or you've already learned what you needed to. And it's okay to let it go. Gather anything that seems vaguely electric into one space. So you'll have to go through your home and do this in every room to go through and look for anything that has cords, batteries, buttons, whatever. and gather it all into one space. This is pretty cool because guess what? You're gonna find all those cords, you're gonna find the charger that you didn't know that went with that camera, and where's that camera's battery and all that stuff. Get it all in one space, and then you're gonna see if you have any duplicates. Do I have cords that go to this and this? If you store them all in one spot, you won't need those extra cords, and you can actually let go of those. It simplifies things tremendously. I used to hate having cords all over the place. There were some in the desk and some in the cabinet, some in a drawer. We now have one tub of electronic things, and if I need something, I know exactly where to go to find it. All right, if you didn't already do this after lesson 1, go through and discard any expired medications, toiletries, and any old makeup because it grows germs, and anything else that's icky and unwanted. If it's not expired, it's still in a package, or it's an item like perfume that doesn't come in contact with your body actually to use it, you can actually sell those things in a garage sale. I'm not speaking from like a legal point of view, but just from personal experience, I know people love to get a good deal on anything that's still in its original packaging, and especially things like perfume, like I mentioned. So you can definitely hold on to those for the sale. Don't clutter your life with a million extras. How hard is it to run out to the store and get some more deodorant if you noticed you're running low? Actually, you can buy it on Amazon. It gets here like the next day. You don't need 600 extra razor blades tucked in the back of the cabinet. That sounds really creepy. You don't need 400 extra bottles of toothpaste in the back of your cabinet. And you don't need to keep that hairspray from when you were in middle school, okay? Get rid of it and clean out your cabinet. You don't need nearly as many papers as you might think. Before we did our major declutter, we kept a lot of papers around. We had like a large filing cabinet with drawers that were just crammed full of stuff. And papers were constantly on the counter, and I was like, how do people ever conquer the paper clutter? You don't need that stuff. When was the last time you actually opened up and read a user manual? Why are you keeping that around? We literally had a file for user's manuals. But we said, you know what, we don't ever read these. If we ever needed to get the information about a certain product, we'd probably look it up online first or take it to a repair shop. We threw those things away, guys, and we're so much freer and so glad we did. You can do your shopping, your bill pay, and even look up the user's manuals for your products if you need to. All that can be found online, and there's no reason for you to have to hang on to that and store it. We're now down to one small filing box that we keep stored away. It's not in sight. We don't have access to it on a regular basis, and that's where we keep our tax documents that we need to hold on to. There are a few things you actually need to hold on to like that. And as far as papers that come into our home that are on a constant ongoing basis, we have one file box that sits on the counter, and it's pretty and it's not a mess. And we have 2 folders in there, one for business expenses receipts and one for papers that need attention. The needs attention file is one of my favorite things. This is where I keep things like the rehearsal schedule for my daughter's dance recital or the baby shower invitation that I got. I don't have to keep those things stuck up on a board somewhere constantly crying out for my attention, or on the refrigerator being a cluttered mess and getting spaghetti sauce splattered on them. I keep them in this box and I know exactly where they are. When the mail comes in each day, we go through the stuff, discard what we don't need, and put things in the needs attention box that might need attention. When we take on a new hobby, whether it's scrapbooking or photography or sewing or taekwondo, we suddenly find ourselves in need of a lot of new supplies and new materials, right? But as we grow in our abilities, we might outgrow some of those original supplies that we have. I used to have an enormous collection of scrapbooking things. I had to have a cabinet out in the garage and a tote that I rolled around, and I even had like a storage bin. But I went through and I cut everything down to an 8x8 size. For those of you who are scrapbookers, you know that's a big jump to go from the large papers down to the small papers. And I got rid of almost everything in there except for a few items that I might use for if I ever got inspired to do scrapbooking again, or if I wanted to use them for other crafts. I now have one little box that I keep all my stuff in, and I can easily access it if I ever need any of those things. Hobby supplies are actually a really great item to resell because other people are picking up new hobbies or may be interested, and they love getting a great deal on stuff like that. The garage can be a real job to organize it. It probably will take you a full day or even an entire weekend to get it the way you want it. If you go through everything, or if you're like me and have a million things in the garage. Again, pull everything out, sort it by type, and then store it by type. We did this several years ago, and it's one of the best things we ever did. We now have clear bins that are clearly labeled with what's inside there, and they're all on shelves that we installed. We've installed them here at this house. We installed them in our previous home. And they are easily accessible. You can go out and you can see immediately if you need light bulbs or extension cords or ropes or tape. It's all labeled and easy to find. As you go through that, you're probably going to find a lot of tools and duplicate items that you really don't need extras of. This is a wonderful thing to sell. I'm telling you, every garage sale I've ever had, somebody comes up and says, got any tools for sale? So if you do, you're gonna be a rock star. How many potato peelers do you need? As many as potato peelers you have. And by that, I mean how many people in your family peel potatoes. I used to have just one vegetable peeler, but I now have 3 little helpers who like to peel the potatoes for Mom when she's cooking. So I have 3 potato peelers for my 3 potato peelers. By now, you know the rules of discarding. If it's not helping you out, get rid of it. Get rid of anything that doesn't serve you well. You don't have to keep it just because it was expensive or Great Aunt Sally gave it to you for your wedding. You may want to take on the Alton Brown rule about no unitaskers in the kitchen. We did that with some things. Almost all of the things in our kitchen are non-unitaskers, that meaning they do more than one thing. Like a potato peeler can also peel a carrot, right? It can do more than one thing. If you have any questions about the items in your kitchen, feel free to reach out and ask me on Facebook. I'd love to answer your question. Kitchen decluttering is actually one of my favorite things because it helps you get more efficient in the kitchen so you can actually cook more and be more joyful while you're cooking. If you love it, display it. I really like that rule, but I don't think it applies to everything. That's a great rule, but it's not always feasible. I have a box of notes that my friends and I used to pass to each other when history got boring back in middle school and we would write notes, you know. Every now and then I come across that box and I read those notes and I remember those times and I see myself differently. I definitely see my friends differently, and I remember such wonderful things. And if I didn't have those, I wouldn't remember those experiences. But that doesn't mean that I want to like frame my middle school social media and have it on display forever and ever, right? When it comes to sentimental items, you really have to think about the value that it's bringing you from an emotional level. Does this thing tell a story that I wouldn't remember without it? In the case of my adolescent social media, yes. But if it's just some random birthday card from my 10th birthday that says, "Happy birthday, friend," no, I don't need that to remember any particular story. Is the item inherently beautiful? If the answer is yes, display it. Get the thing out, frame it in a nice shadow box. Keep it visually there where it can bring you joy day in and day out. These are some of the hardest decisions you're gonna make in decluttering your home. It's really hard for me to give you all the advice right here to go through every possibility that might happen. So if you're having any questions at all, definitely reach out to me in our Facebook group, The Joy Gathering, and I'll be happy to answer your questions about the specific sentimental items that are causing you trouble if you're having trouble getting rid of them. Remember this rule as you clean out your house, and you'll find that all the decisions are easier to make. The rule of 20. If it takes you less than 20 minutes or costs you less than $20 to replace the thing, you don't need to keep it around just in case. And the one phrase that will help you with all your decluttering problems, just keep telling yourself, you'll be happier owning less. When you keep only the items that give you the most joy, the most usefulness, and spur the most powerful emotional memories, then you have less frustration looking for things, less trouble making decisions, and greater chances of experiencing joy in your home. The process of decluttering your home may not be one that you can complete in a day, a week, or even a month. Do the most that you can this time. A few months later, after the big sale, you might decide that you need to go through again, and that's okay. Remember I told you my family used to have garage sales twice every year. After we did our major declutter, it took us another 18 months before we needed to do it again. It does get better, but there is a constant influx of stuff into our homes. It's just the way we live our lives. And while you can make conscious decisions to help reduce the amount of stuff that comes into your home, you're still probably going to find that you outgrow things just like you did with your hobby supplies. There are certain things that you just no longer need anymore, and you will have to release those. Now that you know the process and the criteria, it'll be so much easier and so much faster to go through your house the next time you need to do a major overhaul. And keeping a clutter-free home is going to open up space for you to do so many more things. So how do you know when you're done? Something just clicks. When you feel at ease with the level of possessions that are in your home, you're done. I can't wait to see your before and afters. Be sure and share those with me. In the next video, we'll talk about pricing your stuff and setting up for a garage sale and other ways you might sell your stuff if that's not a good option for you. To help you finish your decluttering process, I've given you a checklist with all the different categories that you'll need to go through so you know exactly where you are in the process and when you'll be done. Just remember to work in categories and pull everything out at once. Pull that stuff out. Don't forget to share the link with a friend. It's more fun decluttering with a friend, and she can hold down the fort for you at your garage sale while you run in to take a potty break. Take a deep breath, Remember to work in categories and reach out to me if you have any trouble along the way. Till next time, I'm Christina from Gathering Joy, helping you cut through the chaos and get to the heart of what matters.
When you find out you can live without it and go along not thinking about it, I'll tell you something true. The bare necessities of life will come to you.